Okay, today we are actually going to be discussing unit rate. But before we talk about unit rate, you have to understand rate. Some of the examples of rate that you would see, that you may have seen in your life, 35 miles per hour. Okay, that just means you travel 35 miles in 1 hour. $10 per hour just means you make $10 for every hour that you work. This means these two right here is like something happening in a period of time, okay? In this case, you traveled miles in an hour. In this case, you earned $10 in an hour. This one right here is a different type of rate, okay? It's not something happening per unit of time. This is 200 calories per serving. That means if you eat one serving, you're going to consume 200 calories. So if you were doing 2 servings, you would consume 400 calories. Every rate can be listed, every rate can be written as a unit rate. So if we have 35 miles per hour, unit rate has to have 1 as the bottom number, the denominator, okay? So 35 miles per hour would just mean they traveled 35 miles over 1 hour. So 35 over 1. So 35 miles per hour in 1 hour. Okay. $10 per hour. So $10 in 1 hour. 20 calories per serving. So 200 calories per 1 serving would be the unit rate. Okay. Now, let's look at it in a word problem here. Let's look. This word problem states, Samantha picked 45 oranges in 5 minutes. Write this rate as a unit rate. 45 oranges in 5 minutes. So we have to determine, unit rate means how many can she pick in 1 minute. If she picks 45 oranges in 5 minutes, how much will she pick in 1? So the rate in which she picked it was 45 oranges in 5 minutes. So if we're going to make this into 1, because unit rate has to have 1 at the bottom, what can you do to the 5 to get it to 1? If we divide it by 5, we divide the 45 by 5. 45 divided by 5 is 9. So she then can pick 9 oranges in 1 hour. So the unit rate would be 9 oranges per hour. Okay? Now you, with your dry erase boards, you try to do this problem. Anne downloaded 35 songs in 5 minutes. How many songs did she download per minute? Okay, let's look at it. Anne downloaded 35 songs in 5 minutes. How many songs did she download per minute? Well, if it's 35 songs per 5 minutes, this is the rate in which she did it, okay? To get the unit rate, it's how many songs per 1 minute. okay? So 5 goes into 35 how many times? Or 5 divided by 5 gives you 1. So 35 divided by 5 gives you what? 7 songs. So let's see if it makes sense. If she can do 35 songs in 5 minutes, the 7 songs per minute makes sense within the problem. Always make sure your answer makes sense within the problem. Okay, now let's look at this one. The Australian dragonfly can travel 18 miles in 30 minutes. How far can it travel in 1 minute? Okay, now this one here, 18 miles, put minutes, 18 miles in 30 minutes is the rate in which it flies. Okay, we have to get it over top of 1 in 1 minute. Well, let's go ahead and reduce this problem here, okay? 18 and 30. What can go into 18 and 30? If we divide it by 6, 18 divided by 6 is 3, right? And 30 divided by 6 is 5. So 3/5 miles, 3/5 of a mile in 1 minute is how far it can travel. Because you cannot go, it will not be an even amount of mileage traveled in 1 minute. Now you could, if you did it as a decimal, you could divide 30 into 18. 30 can't go into 18, so we put a 0. 30 goes into 180 6 times, which is 180, because 3 goes into 18 6 times, okay? So 6 times 30 is 180, so 6/10. It could also be 6/10 if you wanted to write it as a decimal, 6/10 of a mile if you divide 30 into 18. You're going to get, so either one of these, 3/5 of a mile in 1 minute or 6/10 of a mile in 1 minute. These two are equivalent. One's in fraction form and one's in decimal form. Okay, so whichever way you choose to do that. Now, I want you to try this one. Jonathan is baking bread to sell. He used 9 cups of water and 12 cups of flour. How much water was used per cup of flour? Okay, let's look at it. Jonathan is baking bread to sell. He used 9 cups of water, 12 cups of flour. How much water was used per cup of flour? So, water to flour. So, 9 to 12, okay? 9 cups of water to 12 cups of flour. Now, if we can't divide 12 into 9 and it get an even number, okay? So it's not going to be an even amount of water per cups of flour. So if it's 1 cup of flour here, and if we reduce it, what can go into 9 and 12? 9 divided by 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 3/4 cups of water to 1 cup of flour. Or you could go 12 into 9, divide the amount into here. 12 can't go into 9, so put your 0. 12 goes into 90 7 times, which is 84. So put a 0. 12 goes into 65 times. So, or you could have 75 hundredths cups of flour to 1 cup. 3/4 and 75 hundredths are equivalent. So either one of these answers would be correct. Okay? So just remember, rate is usually something happening per unit of time. It doesn't always have to be like the calories per serving. You take the rate that you have and you turn it into a unit rate. But a unit rate always has to have 1 as the denominator. Okay?